Welcome on in. Oh my gosh, there are so many beautiful people here today. Thank you so much for coming to our panel. Hello, my name is Miss Kitty Mama. I'm your friendly neighborhood librarian, and I primarily stream on Twitch. And this is my co-panelist, Ashy.
Hello, I'm Ashy. I'm a bear adventurer. I also primarily stream on Twitch. A lot of RPGs, JRPGs, stuff like that.
Yeah. We are not here to waste your time, so I think we're just going to go ahead and jump right on into the panel. If I can stop being sideways for 2.5 seconds, that would be so cool. All right. Y'all have come here for VTuber Friendships, a guide.
A guide. It's the most human thing to reach out to one another for connection and interaction. We rely heavily on our social networks for survival, and this is as true in the workplace as it is in the rest of the world. Though there are risks associated with mixing friendships and business, studies show that having friendships within the workplace encourages better morale, higher output, and greater innovation. This is true even in the online workplace of content creation and VTubing. However, there is a pervasive culture of content wives and fast friendships where everyone always has to be besties or enemies. As we build their careers, it can be hard to differentiate between coworkers and friends. Sometimes there can be overlap, but it's important to acknowledge that our best friends are not always the people who we make the best content with, and it's okay to make those separations for the sake of mental and emotional well-being.
At the end of the day, this panel will be, at its core, a persuasive presentation to bring workplace-style relationships and coworker-style friendships to the online space, where the stakes of these relationships are much lower, to encourage ongoing discussions, off stream of expectations, boundaries, and to develop more real relationships that are more fruitful, both in person and for content development. So, given sort of that's where we're coming from with these discussions, we want to first ask the question: content creation. What is it? What does it mean to you? Being a content creator is a full-time job that involves a lot of creative production across multiple platforms. It's oftentimes so much more than going live, though streaming can be a big part of content creation, and frequently is, I think, for probably a lot of people here.
Addressing the stigma. Everybody loves an underdog story, especially in the indie space. So there's a certain amount of stigma around pursuing streaming as a career, or at least being obvious about wanting it to make it in content creation. This leads to a certain amount of dishonesty among creators that leads to hurt feelings when words and actions don't necessarily match. Some parasocial things people say, it should be a passion, not a profession. I prefer smaller streamers, or growth changed them. People who say these things betray their true intentions and show that it's the people who say these things that are dishonest about what they want from relationships.
I mean, how many times have we seen it, like on Twitter or something? Some streamer has their feelings hurt because someone who they used to hang out with blew up, it has reached, a greater audience, and they feel that person doesn't hang out so much anymore. And
they're too busy, yeah.
They're too busy. They're collabing with new people, and, often because there's that imbalance, there's a lot of hurt feelings. So it's important to ask yourself some very important questions. These are questions that, because of stigma and, talking about what Ashley was just touching on, you don't need to necessarily answer these questions publicly to your chat, but you need to at least be very honest with yourself, and be honest with people that you intend to collab with, what your intentions are. First question: why do you stream? Is this a hobby for you? Or is this something that you're trying to do as a career? There is absolutely nothing wrong with either version. It's just something that you need to be really honest about. I'm doing this for my career. I want to do this. I'm trying to establish business relationships. This is going to be a sponsored stream, so many things.
And it's okay to start out as a hobby and then want to do it as a career.
Absolutely. But I do feel that if you are going to be casual and do it as a hobby, you have to kind of acknowledge that a lot of people who are pursuing this as a career are going to potentially end up moving on to other collabs and other relationships.
Absolutely.
Things change. What do you want to create? Are you trying to create YouTube content? Are you trying to create gaming content? Do you want to make podcasts? Do you want to do, song covers and duets? Like, what is it that you want to create? And how is this going to affect your relationships? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? Are you, like the bestest FPS gamer? Are you just someone who is like very comfy, cozy? All of these things kind of go into things that you need to like consider with what it is essentially that you're bringing to the table, not just for your own business, but for other people's business and how those will interact. Speaking of interactions,
communication. We're going to touch on communication first, collabs and communication. First thing that you need to figure out is whether or not collabs are even for you. Do you like playing with other people? Do you like doing stuff solo? Collabs can be great for networking, and when they're good, they're amazing. However, there are downsides to collabs as well.
Yeah. So a few things that we kind of discussed is pros. Networking, it's great. You want to get to know other people. You want other people who are going to cross promote your content, someone who you could also feel very passionately you love their content and you want to promote them as well. That's super fantastic, really great for both your businesses. This working with other people can lead to a lot of innovation, new ideas, generally just like it's things that you didn't necessarily think of. You will find yourself trying new things and innovating from working with other people.
Oh, absolutely. So many times I've been inspired after a collab, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Oh, like especially from like times when you just play a game and you're used to playing that game, and then someone introduces the idea of like a challenge.
Oh yeah.
Or, different themes that you can do, different approaches that you can take. It's so much more fun. And then generally more content.
Oh yeah.
When I say more content, I know sometimes, especially if you're quiet, you're having a little bit more low energy day, you're not necessarily talking as much. Even just having another person helps fill dead air. So literally you have just more to work with.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is great. Cons. Power imbalances are something that we touched on earlier as well. They suck. They really, really suck. When you feel like there's one person who's like the popular streamer, they are constantly getting, opportunities and things that maybe you're not. And so they tend to sort of steer the collabs in a lot of directions, or if they like sort of tend to take up too much space sometimes. Uneven effort and uneven reward. A lot of this can kind of like stem from the power imbalances that we mentioned, but even within, not just between two streamers, this can also happen when you have streamers who do like viewer games or mod games, things like that. Sometimes, there has to be a certain amount of recognizing the various power imbalances that exist so that everyone knows exactly what their role is within the collab and works together in a very beneficial way so that everyone's making the content that they want.
Yeah.
And then, of course, finally, limited chat interactions. That's something that I think people don't necessarily acknowledge as much, but especially when you're a smaller streamer,
oh my God.
Like, I know I get it all the time where my chat will, not all the time, but especially when I'm doing a collab or something, my chat will be the first to tell me, streamer's ignoring me. Like,
oh my gosh.
Streamer's not reading chat.
And I love interacting with my chat, but when I'm collabing, I'm trying to focus on,
this
being present with these other people, right?
Yeah. And so it's crazy that, there are some chats that just don't get it.
Yeah.
And that's a little unfortunate, but that's even an expectation that you have to be able to set up with your viewers.
Oh yeah.
That like, hey, this, like, I know I've started put a pinned message in chat saying, hey guys, I love you. I'm occasionally looking at chat, but I'm in a collab right now. So please don't say that stuff, because I'm looking and I'm seeing and I'm getting self-conscious. Don't do it. But that brings us to our next kind of point.
Know yourself, know your friends. What is your organizational style? Do you like scheduling stuff, planning it in advance? Or are you kind of spontaneous in the moment? If someone sends you a message, are you ready to jump into that collab? Are you ready to put yourself out there and, be present and just kind of game with them whenever they want?
Yeah. And like, are you the scheduler?
Oh yeah.
Or
are you the scheduler? Are you the person who schedules stuff? Yeah.
I know. I will tell you right away, you will be in so many more collabs if you're the person organizing them.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you're the person who can get your life together to be the one to send out the messages.
Yes. Sometimes reaching out is the hardest part.
Exactly. Your collab existence will be so much easier.
And what kind of games do you like to play? Are the games good for collabs? Is the content a game that is really popular, trending? There's a lot of games that are like, really, really viral when it comes to collabs. Like, like Lethal Company was, Among Us.
Sorry.
But yeah, there's a lot of games that are good for collabs, and there's a lot of games that you might really love that aren't great for collabs, like the slow pace, like visual novel maybe.
And there are ways to make those really great for collabs.
Absolutely.
You get a bunch of voice actors together, you're all voicing different characters, but especially if it's a longer form game, some kind of RPG, are you going to be able to like commit to like a weekly, monthly, like long format collab where you're getting through the game? Or does it become just another game that you start with someone and you're really excited about it, but then you never touch it again? Like, we played, what was that one game that's so good with the really great music?
Oh, Sea of Stars.
Sea of Stars.
Oh my God.
Playing that together, and we were like, yeah, this was great. And then it's been like 6 months.
Yeah. And it's literally such an incredible game.
It's literally so incredible. But unless you're really going to be dedicated to making a specific game work, streaming every week, every month, something like that, to actually get through it, is it going to actually be good?
Mm-hmm. What role do you play in collabs?
Mm-hmm.
Are you the leader, the gremlin, the noob who may just not be too familiar with the games, but you still want to be part of the collab?
It's an interesting dynamic when you get too many of one type in a group. And that can be something that also leads to sort of a mismatch. Even if you get along really well with everybody in the group, if you have too many gremlins and you're the only mom friend, sometimes you just end up so frustrated that you're just like, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Everyone's running around causing chaos and you're just like,
Yeah, or if like you're all noobs can be an interesting dynamic as well, where everyone's just trying to figure out the game. Or, too many like experts who like disagree with each other. That can sometimes lead to infighting. They can sometimes make for interesting collabs, but you definitely need to like touch base later to be like, hey, we still good?
What size groups are you comfortable in?
Oh, this is a big one.
Yeah. How many people is too many people for you? Sometimes, there could be a lot of people in a collab where, they have these mods for people to
play with more
people. Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're in a 15-person collab.
I know.
And everyone's screaming.
For me, that is definitely too many people.
Yeah, I agree. It can be interesting when in certain games like Among Us, anything that has proximity chat.
Oh yeah.
Anything like that has like proximity chat where you're like moving around and you don't have all 15 people in the same space for very long. Those can work out a lot better. Mm-hmm. But I do think you'll often still find yourself like leaning towards spending time with the same couple of people throughout and finding sort of your comfort there. But a lot of the time, if it's sometimes just too many people, it's just too many people. And like,
absolutely,
it's just horrifying.
Do your friends take this as seriously as you do?
This is more also for like the friends where it's like you're bringing a friend onto your stream.
Oh yeah.
And I know for me, like, I've had some rough experiences where it's like, you know, a friend asked me to buy a game and play it with them, and I'll say, sure, I'll do that, but only if I can stream it, because I will not play this game without you. And they're like, yeah, sure. And then you're like, okay, great. So we'll meet up at this time. I need at least 2 to 4 hours of your time. These are the rules. Great. And then next thing you know, they're 45 minutes late and you have to hunt them down in another Discord server where they're playing with their old work colleagues. And you're like, hello, what are we doing?
Yeah.
We had an agreement here. And that can be really rough because then you're just like vamping to chat for like an hour while you're trying to hunt somebody down.
I am guilty of being that person once because I napped, but I apologized profusely. I'm like, oh, please don't hate me for this. I'm so sorry.
No, true. Well, and like, I know definitely in my case that I'm thinking of, the friend was just like, why is it important? Why does it matter?
Oh.
And I was like, well, screw me, I guess. Like,
it matters, you know, it matters to me.
Yeah.
So, do your friends take it as seriously as you know?
Yeah.
Showing up on time, behaving in an appropriate fashion, you know, those are all really important things that, you know, is it as important to them as it is to you?
Yeah, and just how do they present themselves?
Yeah.
Do they know how to be in front of an audience? Like, do they know like things that you can and can't say, things that will like break toss? Like, are they gonna, God, I think one of my most embarrassing moments personally was like, I found out some like personal family information and just like deeply overshared in a collab.
Oh.
And like, as soon as I said it, I saw my friend start typing to me and I was like, I really wish I could take that back. I'm so sorry. Vocally over the channel. I was like, I don't know how that just came out of my mouth. I'm so sorry. But, you know, things you learn as you go. And that's why it's really important to have some very important conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Be very blunt and very honest. So that brings us to how to engage in collabs. And I think personally, this is my personal breakdown. If you are going to engage in the, at least for us, business and friendship endeavor of collabs, every collab needs to have certain discussions. The pre-collab discussion, where everyone just like shares their boundaries, share their preferences, like, are you comfortable with flirting or being flirty with each other? Are you comfortable with swearing? Where are your personal comfort levels? Even just going over really basic stuff like pronouns and like just having those discussions of like, what do we want this to look like? Of course, tech setup, where everyone does like a tech run of what the collab is going to look like. Make sure everyone's audio is working. Everyone knows what to do. Like, you know, to, if you're using Fugees, if you're not using Fugees, how to set all those up. Make sure that you have the right Fuge. I just did a repo collab where I had the wrong Fuge set. And like, we made custom Fugees for repo and they were so cute. And I had the wrong one set the whole time. I uploaded it and then didn't select the right one.
Oh gosh.
So mad. And no one told me until the end when they wanted to take a screenshot. And I was like, no.
Oh
please.
My goodness.
Of course, you have your on-air discussions. I personally also, as part of the pre-collab stuff, I like to set up like a red light, yellow light, green light system for like, hey, you know, and it doesn't always necessarily have to be like red light, yellow light, green light. If you know, you know, some kind of like safe word system where if I say a specific thing, it's like, it means to me like, hey, I don't want to embarrass you on air.
Yeah.
But like, let's steer away from that discussion. Or like an emergency catchphrase that's like, I have to go right now. Like,
yeah,
this is over. Like, I'm calling it. Like, we'll talk about this after. I can't say anything right now, but like, we gotta go. Setting stuff up like that so that you're able to like talk more freely and comfortably when you're on air makes things so much better and so much easier, and it feels freer.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. I feel like when you set up rules for engagement, it makes everything so much easier because you're not trying to find the boundaries as you go.
Right.
You know them already. And then finally, I think this is one that gets slept on a lot, the post-collab debrief. I love just like sitting down after a collab and going like, hey, how did that go for you? What were some things that you thought were great? What were some things that you thought that we could work on? Is this something that you'd like to do again? Please be honest. I will hit you up again if like, or, you know, where you say like, hey, you know, I think it seemed like you were having a really great time, but like, you know, this wasn't as good for me as I thought it was going to be. And I care about you. I support you as a person and as a content creator, but I don't think our communities really mesh. Our styles really mesh. And I would not like to do this again in the future as politely as possible.
Yeah.
You know, because I think that one of the things people hate the most is being ghosted.
Absolutely.
So bad.
When you send a message and you're just like,
yep.
It takes you forever to build that up, and then like you send it and then you just don't hear anything back. That's the worst feeling.
Sad. It's so sad because you feel like you put in so much effort and just getting ghosted or even being hit with like, yeah, my schedule's getting really busy, but we'll make something work. And then you just never hear from them again. That's all. It's so... I've even had discussions with people where it's like, hey, like we should hang out sometime. I know you're super busy. What works for you? And I've been hit with like, I don't know, I'm really busy. And I'm like, do you want me to circle? Like, I think I was reaching out to someone like right before the holidays. And I was like, do you want me to circle back in 2025? And they were like, yes, please. And I was like, cool, I will do that then. But, you know, being able to be very clear, you know, both pre-collab and post-collab, I think are going to be some of the most important things that you can do for establishing really good boundaries and just really setting you and other people up for just good, solid communication that will really set you up for just a better relationship. Even if the relationship ends at that point, like it ends more positively because you were able to be like truthful and honest, and there's no like residual, you know, lingering, what's the word I'm looking for? Festering.
Yeah.
Like festering of bad feelings.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Communication's so important. Our conclusion. This is the hardest part. Having looked within, been honest with yourself about what you want to create and who you feel comfortable creating with, you have to put it into action. As much as they claim to like honesty, not everyone is gonna like hearing what you have to say.
So with that in mind, we have a recommended workflow for friendship.
Oh yeah.
I think is a good way.
It is honestly, it's a really good way to word that right there.
Yeah. So start as coworkers. Even if you're making a coworker out of an existing friend, reframe how you interact for content creation. Really set those boundaries of your expectations of, you know, what it is that you need, and, you know, really make it clear how serious you're taking this. I know we've gone through like a whole phase, I guess, where putting in effort was seen as cringe or whatever, but things being effortless is something that happens because you do the groundwork, because you take it seriously, because you put in that initial startup effort to really make things good.
I appreciate that effort too.
Yeah.
Build a professional relationship. Lay a solid foundation of mutual interests and values within the boundaries of the workspace that you inhabit. You know, I was actually curious when me and Kitty started our friendship. I was like looking back on it and I was like, how did that happen? Well, we were in a mutual stream. Yeah, Moofy. We love our tiger. And we actually were messaging each other about art.
Ashy we were watching Moofy draw, and Ashy had mentioned that she was starting to practice drawing as well. And I reached out to her in DMs and said, I will pay you $20 to draw something right now. just to like, not incentivize you, but like maybe pressure you. I don't know.
No, I think
in a friendly way.
Yeah, to like encourage me to continue drawing. Yeah, but you sent me some art.
I did.
It was some like sketches. Was it from?
I don't know.
You don't remember who?
I don't remember.
It was like super cool, super awesome. And then
yeah, it was.
Yeah. You know, that's kind of how it started, with a mutual interest for art, and over time that built, and that kind of brings us to our next point.
Let it happen naturally. Don't push it. Just true friendship happens over time when you spend time together, and it takes a really long time, but it happens best when you're not forcing it. I feel like a lot of times people, and we kind of touched on this very briefly in like the beginning, in the beginning, you know, content wives, everyone wants to be besties right away. Or like if you turn down on a collab, they're gonna be like, whatever, I hated you anyways, blocked. And like, I think that's just so toxic. You know, especially even people who will try to force relationships out of a sense of like trauma bonding. Like oversharing, trauma dumping, getting someone else involved in all of your like nonsense. It can make you feel really like beholden to someone without like really having spent any time with this person. You just think like, oh man, they're sharing their like deepest, darkest secrets, all their trauma, and so like we're close now. And like that's not necessarily true. Everyone values that kind of information differently. And so I think it's so important to just spend time together, take it slow, introduce things about yourself a little bit at a time, and let the vibes just like take you where they will.
Because it doesn't happen overnight.
It does not. God, and sometimes if it does, it burns out just as quickly.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
And then constantly reassess. Check in with them. Make sure that you're still aligned on the same page. Be willing to acknowledge if a relationship's run its course. You know, are you guys still comfortable with the same stuff? Are you still creating a kind of similar, you know, environment, audience-wise, you know? And then are you guys still putting in that effort and making that relationship work?
The same mutual effort,
Yeah, the same mutual effort. Or is it time to maybe move on?
I think one of the things that I've seen a lot happen is people will change what kind of content they make. And so suddenly they'll either stop doing collabs entirely because of it, or it's just not good content for collabs.
Right.
And like you can still stay friends with that person, but
absolutely.
If the only way that you guys like really talk to each other is through the professional relationship that you have, then like, you know, sometimes that just unfortunately has to change. I feel like this happens a lot, especially when people go from like gaming towards like ASMR.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, that's a one person kind of, you know, thing most
Absolutely.
I don't know how you could make two ASMR people do a ASMR collab. I'm sure it's been done before.
Oh yeah, like videos and stuff like that.
Yeah. But it's still like it's a much more I hesitate to use
intricate,
the word.
I think.
I was going to say intricate, but also I hesitate to use the word parasocial. But it's a little bit more like of a just you and your chat kind of situation.
Oh yeah.
A lot of the time that a lot of people aren't necessarily comfortable with. I mean, you brought up a tweet from someone when we were going over this. That was like, I turned down a collab because this person is primarily like an ASM artist and like they are a bit more like parasocial with their community.
Oh yeah,
more,
I remember.
18 plus oriented than I am, and it just didn't feel like a good fit. And she was mad. And like, I feel like, you know, it sucks when it happens, but like it can be so hard to just like acknowledge that this business relationship isn't working anymore. The friendship doesn't have to die, but it might if we acknowledge that.
Right. You don't want to push it. You don't want to force things. Like if you value their friendship, then
sometimes the only way to let it survive is to let the business side of the relationship go.
Absolutely.
And just find other ways to hang out, which can be hard.
It can be really hard. Schedules and life is busy and it can get crazy.
It does. But I think with that, we are just about at the end. So it is time for the Q&A.
How do you meet people for friendships and collabs in the VTuber space?
Ooh. I would say, honestly, troll social media a little bit. join community servers and see, I feel like people make posts all the time saying like, whether it's for just, social media engagement or whatever, there'll be a lot of people who say like, I'm looking for more friends. I want to do more collabs. Like you can search like collab on Twitter and just see who's reaching out, who's trying to find similar connections as well. You can also join like community Discord servers for like specific games and communities that you're interested in, and just reach out to people through that. If someone opens up a server where they like invite you to their birthday collab, reach out to everyone from that collab that you met up with and just be like, hey, we were talking about Labubu's. Just like I find, I like enjoyed our conversation. Like, what other games do you play? Like,
yeah, one interest can spark a whole lot of other things.
Exactly. Yeah. So it could be anything.
How do you go about reaching out, connecting, and facilitating time with a much larger content creator?
That's tricky.
That's a big one, yeah.
That's a big one. We this was something that we actually talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've definitely both been in situations with larger content creators where we've got, wonderful opportunities to spend time, and then it just also like did not last very long, sadly. I would say one of the trickiest things to acknowledge with bigger content creators is that they probably won't engage too much until you reach a certain size that is beneficial for them. Because as like in terms of like a friendship, a relationship, people have very full lives. A lot of them already have their support network set up. They already have really good friends, and it could be true that you would be someone who would be an excellent friend to them and someone who they really get along with, but their lives are just so full that they don't have space. And it's one of the like worst and hardest things to acknowledge, I feel like, is just to sort of internalize like, okay, this person is larger because they're doing this for their career, because it is a business for them. And so I have to bring something very special to the table aside from getting along well. So whether it's like you're bringing sheer numbers, whether you're bringing a really unique idea, whether it's something that like you feel that would be a really interesting type of project for them to participate in and maybe champion, you have to have, if you're going to reach out, especially as a much smaller creator, you're going to have to really bring like something unique and special, other than I think we would get along great, because that's a great foundation. That's a great place to start from, but like it's so hard to break in. So you really have to have something very special, different, and something that will be beneficial to their career and their business, to make it worth their time, I think.
Yeah. For me, creators who are like, just even slightly larger than I am, it's like I really want that to be a genuine connection. So I spend a lot of time, like, I don't even think about collab first. I think about like getting to know them as a person and getting to like just familiar with them, their whole style, their whole personality, like, and then I think about the way that, maybe this would work together, like maybe our personalities and our content would mesh, and maybe we can do a collab in the future. But it's definitely about laying that foundation first, getting to know them, and
I
don't ever want to come off as that like clout chasing, I get that so much. It's very, very hard to kind of like go about that in a way where they don't feel that way.
Absolutely. Just focus on what you know about their, someone's basic values, what they like and what kind of projects they like and don't like. Usually with bigger content creators, they're pretty public about that. And just make sure that you're bringing something very unique and special to the table.
Yeah.
What missteps did you have with networking? And if so, what did you learn and want to do differently?
I had a huge one that I can talk about.
Yeah.
This is like the most classic, like, moderator oversteps their boundaries thing ever. I was a moderator for a decently sized, bigger streamer. This was before I became a VTuber even. And I thought we were closer than we were. And I had, they had always said like, this game isn't really for me, but if I ever play it, I want to play it with you. And I took that personally. And so the game came out with a big update, new content. I reached out and I was like, hey, just so you know, like this big content update is happening with the game. If you're interested, like I'd be happy to walk you through like the opening setup of it, just like for funsies sometime. These are some other people who are collaborating with it right now, who are people that you've collabed with before. So if there was ever a time that you were going to try this game, this would be great. Like, consider doing this. She never responded to me, did the thing, played the game, said live on stream, I'd love to play with you sometime. And then I started changing my schedule to check if she was going to be playing that game and if she wanted me to join when she was not responding to any of my messages or anything. And then within one particular day, she was playing the game, and 10 minutes earlier, she'd been like, yeah, I'm kind of just want to play by myself today. And then she got raided by someone bigger than her. And she was like, oh my God, do you want to play with me? I play this game now. And I was like, cool, I'll go. Had a good cry about it. And then tried to stream the same game, had 2 viewers, felt like I was gonna cry again, shut everything down. And that was what led me to realizing, dang, I saw this relationship very differently. That was embarrassing, but it was also what led me to realizing that I was the one being really parasocial and weird about it. And even though I would have appreciated a much more obvious answer from that streamer, she didn't really do anything wrong for her or her business. It might have been not the greatest thing to do to me and my feelings, but I was the one who was being weird about it. And that was actually what led me to realize that I was developing sort of an unhealthy relationship with people that I was streaming with and things. And actually it's what led me to VTubing. So yeah. I learned a very good lesson, but that was also what led me to deciding hey, I need to find at least 1 degree of separation where I'm not tying my own personal self-worth to this quite so much. So I don't think I'd change anything because I learned a very good lesson, and I don't generally believe in going back and trying to change the past. But dang, it would have been cool if she just sat me down and been like, hey, you're being weird. Please stop. And help me come to that realization instead of having to go through a mentee bee on my own.
Yeah. For me, I would say probably just communication and scheduling. There's been a lot of times where I missed opportunities for really, really insane, amazing collabs that I just haven't had good communication with. So I ended up missing those opportunities. I will say I have been a lot better lately. I've been really pushing myself and trying to be better at communication instead of waiting to send that message, sending it right away, and then trying to work around my schedule a little bit better to kind of fit that in.
How do you get started as a VTuber/content creator and setting up everything I need to be one?
I would say that there's a lot of really great tutorials on YouTube. A lot of
people
talk about this. Yeah, I would say start with, looking up a lot of YouTube tutorials, looking up different VTubers that you like, seeing if they have a how I got started story.
That's really good advice.
Yeah, and if there's someone in particular that you feel closer to, if there's someone whose, model you really like, maybe trying to do some research about who did the rigging, who did the artwork, who, even you can go into their streams and ask questions. Usually people will have just in their panels, how I got started, all the stuff I use. And so I think that's usually a pretty good place to start. Mm-hmm. And I know I talk about that stuff all the time. On my own setup, I have a little help desk scene.
I think my personal advice would be doing stuff that you're passionate about, like playing games that you're passionate about, because people feel that energy. People, oh my God, and they're drawn to it. Like some of my favorite games, you know, like even if they're not popular streaming games, like I think I got partnered off playing RPGs. So it was a really niche thing. It was very niche.
Yeah.
But I was so emotionally like invested, and that people loved my reactions and seeing all that. And it definitely can help, like even as well if you have like a friend or something who can maybe sometimes be in your stream to chat, you know, like kind of go back and forth with them.
How do you get used to interacting, posting, and engaging on social media and streaming even if you feel intimidated and uneasy?
Practice. Acknowledge that you feel uncomfortable and just practice doing it. Even if you just like, you know, take time to like reply to people on Twitter, reply to people on Blue Sky. Like
that's helped me a lot recently, actually. I've just been replying a lot more, like, yeah, and it's definitely helped me a lot.
Even if they never see it, even if they never like your response, just like that, getting into that practice of engaging, even if it feels uncomfortable and like, man, no one needs to hear what I say about this. Like that's the whole point of streaming, is, you know, that you have something to say and you think people want to hear it. So just put yourself out there, respond to people on social media, comment on things, and doing that will help you practice those interactions and just, yeah, the more you reach out to people, the easier it gets.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just keep doing it.
Is there anything wrong with reaching out to creators that you haven't interacted with before to collab or hang out with?
I'd say that there's nothing wrong with reaching out. If they are like mid-size and you're in their community, things like that especially, you can even just ask them in their chat sometimes. I feel it's actually
I've done that
okay.
a couple of times myself.
Yeah, not to invite them to a collab specifically, but to like kind of more roundaboutly just be like, hey, are you interested in collabs? Are there any type of collabs that you would like to do? Would it be okay if I DM you sometime later? Like, and
I would say maybe even something offline to see if you guys kind of mesh together, you know?
Yes, I'm such a big advocate for like
offline stuff.
Interact offline first and see if there's a vibe, and, you know, just do your best to foster those good relationships.
What should you do for easy conversations during collabs so that they don't fall into an awkward silence, especially with people you haven't collabed with before?
Prepare, honestly. Write down a list of topics.
I was about to say the same thing. Write down a list of topics, or like, you know, maybe mutual interest stuff that you could ask them about, stuff like that. It's a really good idea to be prepared, like even with something as simple as writing down topics.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the best one that you can do. Just write down topics in advance. Go through things that you know about them, things that you've seen them say in videos or online, and just ask them questions. People love to talk about themselves, so just ask so many questions.
How do you prevent being a wallflower or having wallflower tendencies with your relationships, along with preventative measures against being scatterbrained, preventing you from remembering things?
That's tricky. I'm literally a wallflower.
I was like, Ashy's literally a wallflower, and I'm the most ADHD, I almost said a bad word, the most ADHD person you've ever encountered. I'm not sure that I exist most of the time. My husband has to remind me on the daily. He's like, hey babe, time is passing. You wanted to go to the grocery store. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's crazy. As for wallflower tendencies in relation to that, I don't know. I set a lot of timers and calendar reminders.
Absolutely.
Where I set goals.
Timers, goals, and a place where I can see it all the time. Because if I don't see it, it doesn't exist to me.
Yeah. 150%. I like to set up alerts and reminders on my Google Calendar. And because I'm addicted to my phone. And yeah, so I'll get like pings, like for friends' birthdays even. I have it set up so I get notifications a month in advance, a week in advance, the day before, and then the day of. And so like, if I know that there's something that I want to do, I'll set up alerts like that far in advance so I can start like preparing myself, be like, okay, I want to do this thing, so I need to reach out to these people. I need to do this by this day to give people enough time. And so you can really plan for those things. And and just remind yourself, get those pings, get those notifications, put those sticky notes around your monitor.
Everywhere.
Yeah. That's the best way. And
Thank
with that,
you guys so much.
we are out of time. Thank you so much for coming to our panel. We had such a nice time hanging out with you guys. This was our very first panel, and you guys made this so special and wonderful for us. So thank you so much for being here, and we hope that you all have a wonderful con.
Yay!